if Mr. House can have him do a little prayer. Please pray with me. Father, we thank you so much for the opportunity to come together as a city. We pray your blessings, your wisdom upon us. We pray healing over this land during this COVID time. We pray peace over this country. We pray, Father, that you will bless this time, that you will bless these people who are made to make decisions, and that you'll be with all the citizens of this city. In Jesus' name, amen. We'd like to conduct a public hearing regarding the submission of an application for the Texas Department of Agriculture, Texas Community Development Block Grant Program. It's 601. Mark, you want to add some?
Yes, I'll start off, Mayor and members of the council. This is a grant that comes around every 2 years. Generally, we use it for water, wastewater, sometimes drainage. This is an opportunity for the public to give input on their thoughts, and Mr. Javier Zambrano from GrantWorks is here and will give you some information, and then we'll let the public speak if they have anything.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, Mayor, Councilman. I'm Javier Zambrano, and I represent GrantWorks. GrantWorks was selected sometime back by City of Los Fresnos to do the administration of the projects. At this time, eventually the city will submit an application with the help of GrantWorks, and the maximum amount that we can submit for is $350,000. And as Mark mentioned, you can use it for streets, for drainage, for wastewater and water lines. So, and this type of grants come along every 2 years. So at this time, if anybody like to make a comment, ask questions regarding, or your concerns about your city, what you'd like in your area, this is the time to do it. So, basically that's what we do. We're here to listen. It's citizens' participation. Anybody can say anything.
Does anybody have anything to share in regards to the topic just discussed? If not, I motion we close the public hearing regarding the submission of the application for the Texas Department of Agriculture, Texas Community Development Block Grant Program at 6:04.
Thank you, Thank you, sir.
This is a time for visitors' remarks. Jackie, do we have any visitors' remarks? So I'd like to welcome the two visitors that are here to make a remark. We'd love to hear what you have to say. I have Belinda and Karen, whoever would like to go first.
Thank you. See, I was just going to say, in public speaking, they tell you to make your remarks memorable by something. I usually do that by forgetting what I'm going to say completely or talking too long, but I did it by not turning on the mic, so I'm already ahead of the game here. Okay, so my name is Karenzac, and I'm here representing 3 families formally and other in our neighborhood on a matter that is of concern to us. Representing my family, the Anzac family, my husband Robert Anzac is here, the Morales family, and Ms. Belinda Morales is going to speak after I do, and Mr. Owens and his family. And the reason I'm here is because we live on the Resaca 2 subdivision, and behind our property on Whipple Road, there is Firstborn Productions. And if you'll look in your folders, and I'm sorry I did not have more detailed information on there, but I just have a little timeline that you can look at, refer to as I'm speaking. And the reason that we are concerned is because in the very beginning, when we moved to Los Fresnos, my husband and I moved when we got married in 1995, and we bought the property that we bought because of the beautiful, it is long, and he loves to work in the yard. We were looking forward to someday having grandkids, not yet, sitting, back there and having, our tea and being able to look at his work, hard work at keeping that lawn. Unfortunately, Firstborn Productions started turning that property into basically an industrial park. And since April of last year, we've seen a lot of growth on that business. Now, I understand as a citizen of Los Fresnos that we benefit from the tax revenue that large businesses bring. We all do. So we don't have a problem with Mr. Leandro having a business and growing his business. The problem that we have is that every time we look back there now, there are 18-wheeler trailers and trucks in the back, and this is residential. So Firstborn was located at 320 and opened their business in 2009, and you may be familiar with this situation. In 2012, Whipple Road was annexed in zone as family residential. And at that point in time, it has been my understanding that businesses can be grandfathered in to that kind of situation, so it was understandable. And since then, we had issues with loud noise because of the nature of Firstborn production business. We sent some complaints and called the police a few times about it if it was during the week. But on weekends, we understood they were grandfathered in and people need to make their money. So we really didn't complain as much. The problem started this year when in April, he cleared the brush, cut down trees that were previously blocking the warehouse that he had there. And then we started realizing at that point in time that there were trucks, and it was a warehouse that he had there. So it was no longer just a residence or a little garage. If you go look at it, it's a really tall white warehouse close to my backyard. So that is an eyesore for us. We talked, we called Mr. Milam, we spoke to him. He was kind enough to come out to our property and take a look. He looked at what the view was from Jesse's house, and he saw that when we spoke to Mr. Leandro, he offered to take care of the situation, but what he did was actually cut down the bushes that were kind of covering the situation and started building a fence with junk and tires. So that first of all, a 4-foot tire fence is not going to cover 18-wheelers. And it makes it even more of an eyesore. So this is very frustrating for us since we've been in contact with, we spoke to Ms. Melissa Rodriguez. Did my 5 minutes already go by? Oh my goodness, see, I told you I talked too much. Okay, this is why I gave you a timeline of what's going on. My information, I left it with her, and she will give you my phone number, and if you have any questions, I'll be more than happy to answer them, and I really appreciate the opportunity to speak. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Is Belinda going to come up Go ahead, Belinda.
Good evening. My name is Belinda Morales, and I reside at 127 Resaca Retreat, right behind Mr. Liendo's industrial park trailer repair shop, I guess. I'm not exactly sure what's going on there, but it is an eyesore to my backyard. When we purchased this property over 20 years ago, our vision was to be able to sit in our big backyard and enjoy our children, our grandchildren, and there was very pretty green brush, green tall trees until Mr. Liendo decided to cut all that down and show us the view of his trailers and warehouse that he has. That was, of course, not in our vision. We were rather upset. When we approached Mr. Liendo asking him to build a fence to cover this unwelcome view, he cut down the few bushes that were left, replaced them with trash, and it was dried brush, old tires, which was even a worse eyesore there. This time, I guess, to be more specific, building on what Karenzac has presented, this is how we would like the situation resolved. We would like Mr. Liendo's business to stop expanding operations behind our home. I understand that he went from a production company to a trucking repair company to a trucking service, and it's been growing. I understand also that he was grandfathered in, but initially he was grandfathered in as a production company, and much after the annex, this area was annexed, he brought in those other 2 or 3 businesses that he's opened or obtained permits for, to my knowledge. We would like a permanent brick wall fence across the whole property, Mr. Liendo's property, to hide all those trucks and warehouses. Planting trees will not provide necessary covering soon enough. I think he's wanted to, or he's mentioned about planting trees or shrubs or plants. That's going to take 15, 20 years to cover all the view that we have. We would like Mr. Liendo to properly maintain such fence or wall. And I think that's all I have at this time. I thank you all for allowing us to come and present to you our concerns. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that, and we appreciate you coming out here and sharing with us the concerns you have. We're definitely going to do what we can for within the city's guidelines and limits. Thank you very much. Any other visitor remarks? These are the last 2. Okay, I'd like to close the visitors' remarks at 6:14 and move on. Presentation and certification of achievement for excellence of financial reporting. Mark, you want to elaborate on this one?
Sure, I'll start off and then you can finish it up. This is something that we have done for the last 12 years as part of our audit process for year end. It's not required by law, but it's something that we have done, like I say, for 12 years, go over and beyond providing data and information to be transparent as a city. It's quite a large section in the audit book, a piece in the front and then a piece of statistics in the back that we have presented, and when you present this information extra, well then you're awarded a wanted to recognize Pablo Garza, and if he come up and the mayor has a certificate for you, and recognize him as well as our whole staff, because he can want to do this, but if we don't have buy-in by the rest of the staff, or rest of our department heads, this can't happen. And so it's a good achievement, 12th year in a row, and so we're very proud of that.
Would any of the council members like to add any kind of comments or questions or anything you would like to add in regards to the award? Okay, let's go ahead and move on. The next topic on the agenda is recognizing of City Secretary Jacqueline Moya on completion of the requirement for certification in the Texas Municipal Clerk Certification Program. Mark, you want to go ahead and speak?
Yes, Mr. Mayor and members of the council, when Jackie was hired, the first thing she said, "Is there a certification for city secretaries?" And I said, "Yes, but not many people do it. It's not required to be a city secretary." But at the time, there's never been one from our city certified, and there's only a few that are actually certified in the valley. And as of last count, somewhere between 800 and 1,000 in the whole state of Texas. So it's quite a rigorous program. It's over 200 hours of study and preparation in different modules about things that she would have to do, and Open Meetings Act, open records, and just a whole bunch of items. And so, because she was certified, we wanted to recognize her for that accomplishment. It's very good, and it helps the city be better, helps her be better, and so we're appreciative of those employees when they do the extra bit of work to do those things.
Great job, Jackie. Come on up. Before I move on, I just want to give one last applause to both of our recognition today.
If I could, I'd like to make a comment. I'd like to congratulate Jackie. I know she puts in a lot of time and effort into doing her job. I know when she started here, she had very little knowledge of what she was going to do, and she has come a long way. And a lot of it has been through self-effort. And I want to say we really appreciate everything you do for the city, along with Pablo and Mark and the rest of the administrative team. This reporting excellence is something that we have done for the last 12 years, I believe is what it says, or maybe longer. But it's a reflection of the type of work that's being done by our city administrators. We believe, they're not doing anything behind closed doors. Everything is open. It's open to the public. Everybody knows what's going on in the city the way it should be. And we have nothing to hide. And our records indicated, and I think that it's an example of the good work that Mark and the rest of the administrators have said, but mostly Mark, because Mark is the one who's having to teach everybody everything. So we appreciate all the work that you do, Mark, and the rest of the city administrators as well. And of course, the city council also helps to some degree. So thank you all very much.
I also want to thank and congratulate Jackie. I know she's on my speed phone. She's number one, and anytime I have a question or concern, she's my go-to person, and then Mark is second, but she responds in a very quick and mannerly fashion with the information that I need, so congratulations and thank you.
I'd like to move on to the presentation by the Los Fresnos Chamber of Commerce, and I believe we have Mr. Champion here.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and council members. This is actually our annual report for last year because of the virus situation. So we will start out with COVID-19, which tested our personal and business ability to withstand several months of stay-at-home orders and social owned businesses, which are the backbone of our community. These businesses became financially fragile. To survive, they had to suspend some expenses. These typically consisted of operating fees and chamber memberships. During the pandemic, the chamber continued to support our members by continually delivering social media announcements regarding call-in orders, curbside pickup, and scheduled operating hours. Halloween, drive-through trick-or-treat. Due to COVID-19, our annual Halloween festival held at Memorial Park was canceled. The chamber decided, with the strong support of the city, the Los Fresnos CDC, and Rodeo Committee, to organize a free, socially distanced trick-or-treat alternative at the rodeo grounds. Families were invited to drive through the Halloween displays provided by chamber and community members. Kids trick-or-treated from their car windows, receiving candy and freebies. More than 500 families drove through the 22 displays decorated by local business, schools, and churches. And you'll see some photographs there to give you an idea of what we did. Now we'll continue with the reverse Christmas parade. We normally have a festival following the parade, the normal parade, but this year we couldn't do that. So we came up with the reverse Christmas parade. Given the pandemic challenges of 2020, the chamber felt that it was very important to keep the magic of Christmas alive for the children and families of Los Fresnos and surrounding communities. The chamber decided, with the very strong support of the city, Los Fresnos CDC, school district, and rodeo committee, to organize a drive-through parade. The chamber asked families to join the fun by decorating their cars and trucks in a festive manner. We also asked them to bring donations for the Los Fresnos Community Food Bank and to create and bring posters recognizing or honoring or thanking our law enforcement for their service. More than 500 families drove through the 26 parade entries, which included local businesses, schools, churches, and even a visit from Santa. And you'll see some pictures there. And that brings us to the financial reports, which are attached: the balance sheet, profit and loss statement, and statement of cash flows for the period ending December 31. The balance sheet shows the chamber's position as of December 31 and indicates the chamber can handle the ebbs and flows of revenues and expenses. The profit and loss statement shows the chamber's performance during the period and reports our income and expenses. The cash flow statement organizes the reports to cash generated and used during the year and converts items reported on the P&L from an accrual basis to a cash basis. On behalf of our board of directors, we respectfully submit this report. Thank you very much, and I'll answer any questions that you may have.
Whose idea was this on the reverse thing that you had? It was unbelievably successful. You were the one?
Yes, sir.
Brilliant.
Yes, sir.
That was really good what y'all did. I have two kids, a 12-year-old and a 9-year-old, and I can tell you that they loved it. They loved the event. They loved the Halloween event. The candies were plentiful. And I can tell you a lot of the feedback from the people I spoke to, they were really impressed by some of the ideas that have been put forth recently this year. So I just want to thank you and the Chamber of Commerce for everything that you guys have done, and also all the donations that were given to make this happen. That was an incredible time.
Thank you.
So next up, we have a discussion and updates on the coronavirus pandemic. Mark?
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor and members of the council. Since we've got vaccinations going, I wanted to update you a little bit, and it's probably good for the audience as well. Charlie, can you come help me for a minute? Give them each one of those. What he's passing out is, and I won't spend a lot of time on it, but the coronavirus is still here, even though we're doing vaccinations now, and I guess that's a good reason why we're doing it, is because the coronavirus is still here. As you can see on your paper that I gave you, we've been tracking this. The first date that we had a Cameron County positive was March the 19th. And so we've been at this a long time. Don't worry about the first 3 pages if you turn to the 4th, because we're now in January, and at the bottom you can see January 11th, which was yesterday, the last we have. The first column shows the number of positive tests that were returned to the county was 155. Unfortunately, there was 7 deaths that was reported that day, and 285 what we call recoveries, people that have been cleared. As you go across, you can see the next column is 31,347. So that's the number of Cameron County residents that have had COVID over the last about 10 months. There's been 1,212 lives lost during that time due to COVID. And then you can see that there's 26,453 recoveries. And then that leaves the next column is 3,682 people that currently in Cameron County are sick with COVID in one degree or another. So we track that on a regular basis. And the next one I wanted to give you, to me, it's the better information, because it shows you a week by week positives as people are tested and have a positive result. You can see that where June, July, and August was very, very high and tough for us, we had a better September and October, November, but now you can see it's jumped up, and some of that, I guess we can say, because of family gatherings along Thanksgiving and Christmas. So those numbers are going up. So we track that every week. The real true picture is hospitalizations. If people get sick, that's one thing, but if they have to go to the hospital, it's another. There's a 15% capacity rule that the state has said that as long as you're under 15% capacity, we will continue to loosen regulations. We were there, of course in the summer we were not, but we were there during September, October, November, and December. We are now back above that level at our hospitals, and when I say our hospitals, the 4 Cameron County hospitals, Valley Regional Brownsville, Valley Baptist Brownsville, Harlingen Medical Center, and Valley Baptist Harlingen. So it seems right now Harlingen is the worst area as far as capacity problems in the hospital. There's very long waits, again, if you're going to the hospital. They're not in Brownsville, so I think things are being diverted to Brownsville to ease that. So that's why you saw the governor and then as well as the county judge having the restrictions on bars and doing some tightening to try to reduce those hospitalizations, get people well and back home so that there's no problem. So the reason why I mentioned that is because that's the problem is if you have a heart attack, you have something else, you want to be able to go to the hospital and feel safe. And so as capacities increase, that becomes more of a problem. So hopefully soon we'll see those numbers down. We still have regular meetings with county officials every Wednesday and get updated, and then from time to time in between as well. The last thing I want to visit with you about is what's happening outside. If y'all, as you came in, you probably saw what's going on. We are very fortunate that Cameron County came to us with a plan to give vaccinations here in Los Fresnos. This is kind of a test site. They did one in Harlingen, but it was you drove and you got out of your vehicle and went in, and there's a lot of moving parts with that, and they're trying to do something to speed up the process. If we're going to get, of course, not everybody is willing to do a vaccination, but if 50% of the people in Cameron County want to do it, we're talking about 215,000 people. That's a lot of vaccination. So they got some about 5,000 in on Friday. Our plan was to have it this coming Friday. Monday they came and said the vaccinations came in early, and so they want to do it Wednesday. Of course, we jumped into gear with the help of our public works. As you can see, the stuff that they did with barricades and cones, and our police department. If y'all don't know, we got a great staff that just jumps and goes into gear. So I appreciate everything they do. And that's one of the reasons why county came to Los Fresnos. They know that they can look and see the model to be able to do similar things in other communities. Right now, Charlie, how many was cars?
270, right before the meeting started.
270. I hate that people are waiting. We don't really know how to fix that. We asked them to go and come back at 5 in the morning, but they want to be sure that they get the vaccination and don't want to miss out, and so they continue to stay. So we're providing for that. We have restrooms set up out there for them, trying to make it easy. We've got lights. We're allowing people to bring them food. They're going to be there for an extended period of time. So thing is, they need to be in their vehicles at 5 a.m. At 5 a.m. in the morning, we'll start giving vouchers to those in line. And then at 6, they'll start administering the vaccines. A big shout out to the rodeo group to let us use the grounds. We're very fortunate that where we're located, and then also the fire and EMS to allow use of their facility. They're going to move all of their fire equipment out of 6 bays, and they're going to have 18 stations administering vaccines starting at 7 a.m. So we're hoping that it'll flow fast. We think that it will. And then it'll be a model we can use and replicate other parts of the county. And then also back here, because we're looking at right at 2,000 vaccines. So if you do the math, we're going to have to do a lot of those over the next few months in order for this to, for everybody that wants a vaccine to get one. I didn't introduce Charlie properly. He's with the police department. We've got the chief here too. Charlie is also the reason why I asked him up here, he's emergency management coordinator for the city and deals with that end of it. Not to say that the police doesn't, but the buck stops with him on emergency management. So that's our role, and I will ask you if there's any questions. First of y'all.
Mark, do you know if they have any plans to come back to do that follow-up shot that they're?
Yes, when they commit to this 2,000, it's automatic commit 28 days later that there will be a follow-up shot, because that's what we're doing. Cameron County will probably all be doing Moderna vaccine now from here on. The other one's very difficult to deal with because it has to be stored at negative 60 degrees, I think. So Moderna will probably be what they use. And so because they do this, they're also committing to those same 2,000 people 28 days from now. It could be 27, 26, it could be 29, 30, but around that time. So wherever a person gets it, they'll know that they're guaranteed, and they won't have to do like they're doing tonight, because they'll have a card and they can just come in anytime during the day and get that.
I have a question. If a person gets the first shot, let's say here in Los Fresnos, does that person have to come back to Los Fresnos to get the second one? Or is it possible that they can get it somewhere else if they happen to be at another location, another town perhaps?
Yes, they could do that. It's more difficult. You've got a card, so you can present that card to wherever it is. The only thing is you wouldn't be guaranteed a spot wherever you're at, whereas 28 days from now you'll be guaranteed a spot here because you got it here. So yes, they can do that. They would prefer not to, but there are going to be reasons why you couldn't.
Thank you.
What is the total number of vaccines that we're going to be doing tomorrow?
Tomorrow, right at 2,000, a little over 2,000.
Thank you.
There's another one scheduled for Brownsville Sports Park on Friday. Some of the public, if you look at social media and the news, people are upset. There's several things: is when, where, why do we not know until last minute? The county isn't told exactly how much they're going to get, and so they don't really know until it arrives. Like we had planned starting Friday. They were given word that they would get 5,000 or 6,000 on Monday, and so they said, well, let's plan it on Friday, do one in Los Fresnos, one in Brownsville, one in Harlingen. Well, Friday afternoon they ended up getting the shipment, so they said, oh, we can't wait a whole week. Let's move it forward, and so that's why it jumped forward from Friday to Wednesday, and it's last minute, but I think we're going to be doing a lot of last minute over the next few months,
The last question I have is, if not everybody comes and there's 300 remaining vaccines, is that going to be opened up to anybody so they don't go bad, or how is that going to work in the event that was to happen?
I didn't ask county, but we'll have vouchers to equal the same amount of vaccine. So if tomorrow afternoon happens that we didn't reach that amount, well, then we'll go on social media, and I don't think we're going to have that problem for a while. But, before they have, different places have opened it up and called a business and say, hey, we've got 30 vaccines, can you send me people in the next 30 minutes? It's kind of hurt some people's feelings, because they say, well, why did they get to go? And, it's one of those things, because maybe those people were not in the next order. Maybe they weren't 65 and older. Maybe they didn't have a health condition that put them them in that place, but I feel like that I would rather anybody get a vaccination if they choose on those last few on the day, rather than it go to waste and they be destroyed and have to be thrown away.
I just thought of some other consideration regarding the shots. The shots that are being administered here are the Moderna, right? And I think one thing that each one of us needs to keep in mind, that if we happen to be somewhere else at another city, we need to make sure that they are using the same Moderna rather than the Pfizer, because they may not have the same one.
Yes, sir. When you get the first vaccination, you'll be given a card, and it says which one you were given, Moderna or Pfizer, and the date you were given, and the location you were given. So you're not going to be able to get the second shot without showing that card. So you need to keep that card, and the people giving it will look and say, hey, this is a Pfizer vaccination. You can't have it because you did the Moderna first.
Right.
Any questions from usually we don't do the audience, but I think it's proper for this situation to open it up.
Sure.
Thank you. The people that were, I noticed there's a lot of traffic over here, but I think, those people who were picking up registration forms, is that correct? And you should have those filled out when you come tomorrow to get your shot? No, all of those people are getting in line, and then the people everywhere are just asking questions. Everybody has so many questions. There is a form that's online on the county website. You can fill it out, bring it, or you can wait until the morning. We will have those forms and be passing them out to everybody in their vehicles. They fill them out before they go. We'll start giving those forms and the voucher at 5 a.m. That'll give us an hour to get people to be sure they got the forms filled out, and at 6 a.m. they'll start the vaccinations. And they'll go till we're done.
Great, if there's no more questions, I know Mr. Lopez wants to.
I have a question. What's the procedure on putting an item on the agenda for the next meeting? I was thinking or concerned we weren't allowed to ask questions or get some more information on this Liendo situation.
You just tell me, and I put it on there.
Okay, then can I ask you to
Sure.
put it on there for the next agenda?
Okay, if there's not any more other questions or comments anybody wants to talk about, any other council members in regards to the coronavirus pandemic that we were just discussing? Thank you very much, gentlemen. So moving on, consent agenda. All matters listed are considered to be routine by the city council and will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless requested by a member of the city council. The items may be subsequent to be removed from the council agenda to be considered separately. Item number 1, consideration and action to approve the minutes for December 8th and the 22nd, 2020. Any questions or comments? If not, do we have any motions to approve?
We'll do all. You need to do all three of them at the same time,
Okay.
unless somebody
No,
has
that's
got a
fine.
question.
More
before.
efficient. So second item, consideration and action for the mayor and council to support and participate in the 2021 It's Time Texas Community Challenge. Consideration and action to approve the Los Fresnos Community Development Corporation action to purchase U.S. flags and lighting. Any questions or comments? If not, we motion to approve or deny actions 1, 2, and 3 of the consent agenda.
All three items.
Okay, the motion has been made. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And all those that are not in favor do the same as well. Motion carries to approve. Items 1, 2, and 3 of the consent agenda. Action items. Consideration and action to approve a service agreement with the University of Texas Health Science Center.
Mr. Mayor and members of the council, on Zoom, Amanda Davy is there. She's with our contact with UT Health Science Center. As you know, this is our community health program that we've been doing for 6-7 years, and if we can get her on, she will give a presentation.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for having me. Thanks, Mr. Milam. Hello, everyone. We did provide a commission report for all of you, and I'm unable to share my screen at the moment, but the city does have a copy of the commission report. And first and foremost, we would really like to thank your city for your partnership, particularly Mr. Mark Milam. He is an incredible leader in Los Fresnos, and we are very, very happy to continue partnering with him. And then, of course, Christine Martinez has been incredibly instrumental in the success of Los Fresnos programming. This programming extends all the way from Brownsville to McAllen. It is a very large program that is funded by HHSC. And after fiscal year 2020, we are very, very, very proud to say that we not only achieved our metrics, but we far surpassed our metrics that were outlined by our funders, which was virtually unheard of this year. As we all know, it was a very difficult year with the pandemic and lots of difficulties had by lots of residents throughout the valley. Despite all that, due to the hard work of our community health workers throughout the region, and including Christine, we were able to maintain engagement with our participants health across our region. So with that said, participants improved blood pressure, weight, physical activity, and fruit and vegetable consumption, and all the metrics that are outlined within the commission report. And we really look forward to your continued partnership in fiscal year 2021. So thank you so much for all you do.
Thank you very much for that. I know that staying healthy is extremely important, and it's something that we definitely want to pay extreme interest into. With that said, there's a pledge that I'd like to take care of, as well as the council members. Do we have that right now, Mark?
Yes, of course, we'll need to approve the agreement finally, but recognize Christine Martinez. She's the one that heads up the program and does some great things with it. You approved the item before about support, and so before we go forward, we would like for you to sign it and get a picture real quick so that we can do that, and then in a minute approve the agreement. It's the same agreement that's been for several years. You can go ahead and have them start.
Awesome.
It's the same agreement for several years where they fund us. And Amanda mentioned about a tough year. Yes, in March, when COVID started, we were all shocked when they said no more exercise classes. What? How are we going to continue to help folks that want to be active when we don't have an outlet for them? We brainstormed, and we started a program where we did Zoom, and just people Zoomed in and did exercise. We did different ways, and then whenever we could social distance, we set up where we did smaller groups of classes where they didn't exceed the limit, but they were far enough apart where they were safe and still could feel confident and comfortable. So we were real proud of that.
I'd also like to congratulate the city of Los Fresnos. Y'all were really the people who paved the way for a lot of the protocols that we were able to establish to maintain safety in our communities. I think Mr. Milam and Christine were incredibly proactive. And when our team was sitting here transitioning from our homes, how to get all of our programming online, they were brainstorming the next step. Like, what are the protocols that we can do for our city to make sure everyone stays safe? And as a university, we've been able to take those protocols and build upon them for our entire program. And that's really in huge thanks to Mr. Milam and Christine. So thank you for that as well.
I guess the next thing is to make a motion. I make a motion that we approve a service agreement with the University of Texas Health Science Center.
I second that motion.
I second.
Motion has been approved to approve the consideration and action to approve a service agreement with the University of Texas Health Science Center. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion
Aye.
carries.
Thank you very much, everyone. Have a great night.
Thank you, Amanda.
Consideration and action to approve contract extension with the Republic Services for solid waste removal services or seek proposals. Mark, do you want to?
Yes,
Elaborate
Mr.
on
Mayor,
any of
members of the council, I'll start off. We entered an agreement with Republic Services back about 9 years ago, I guess it was. We had a contract. We extended it for another 5 years, and we're up not till September 30th. But the reason why I brought this to you is if we do not extend it, we need to begin very, very quickly to seek proposals, because you can't change out 2,000 plus carts around the city and dumpsters and all of that if in short order. That if it becomes a new company, they have to get those ordered, and a lot of planning to go. With that in mind, there is Republic Services was kind enough to make us an offer. Omar is here from Republic Services. If you have questions in a minute, you can ask him. But what they're offering is to reduce the current pricing of the carts by $1 per cart. If you'll remember back in our budget time, the cart prices are almost costing us the same thing as we're charging the residents. And so we were thinking about going up, and y'all asked, no, let's COVID and such financial difficulties through the year, let's do not move the $20. Well, if they reduce that back down $1, we've got several years to go now before we have to worry about that again. So that would be a win-win for us and for our residents, keeping money in their pockets and not having to increase that. The next thing is they've got some new carts. It's a blue colored. It's in your packet. Different look than what they are now. They would cap the commercial dumpster rates at 2% for the first year. Part of the contract, depending on the price of inflation, I guess that's the simplest. There's a formula that's calculated, and it can go up as much as 5% in a year for the dumpsters. What they're offering is that they would go no higher than 2% for this next year, which would be a tremendous savings over a year's time for our business community. And then the other thing they would agree to do is, right now the cap is at 5%. They would agree to drop that cap to 4% for the remaining year. So What that means is if the inflation goes up and say we're at 6%, they wouldn't go up any more than 4. It would be capped at 4. So it's also a good thing for us, for our businesses, so that they can plan for the future by accepting that. And of course, they pick up our trash where we need it, our city hall, the parks as well. So I think it's the wise thing to do, and that's my recommendation is to extend it 5 years and enjoy that savings where we don't have to increase to our residents and also our commercial accounts.
Any questions from any of the members, council members?
I just wanted to make a comment with regards to Republic. I think that they've been doing an excellent job so far for the city of Los Fresnos. I've had to deal with several other companies, and so far, from what I've seen, they're very dependable. They're excellent when it comes to, and consistent about picking up the brush, picking up the trash. Sometimes they may not be able to pick it all up in a day, but I guarantee you the next day that trash is going to be picked up. So I think that they're doing an excellent job, and my recommendation is that we continue with this.
Will those blue containers just kind of get dropped off and picked up, or what's the process on those blue containers?
You can address it.
On the acceptance of contract extension, what we go do is go back, place our order for the containers, and then basically start running our routes. Normally how we do it, and I'm not the operations manager, so don't bite me if we do something a little bit different, but normally how we would do it is we would start collecting like we normally do on our routes, and as we're collecting, we're following through and dropping off the new container as we're picking up the old one. So that's basically going to give you your uniformity look across the city, new look basically.
Thank you very much.
I don't know if it's my hearing problem, but I seem to have trouble understanding what the person is saying, even with the PA system. And I wanted to suggest perhaps we are more than 6 feet away from each other, so perhaps the person that is at the podium can remove their face mask where we can hear more clearly.
If you feel
Would that
comfortable,
be
you
okay?
can, while you're speaking, if you feel comfortable, you're more
Is
than
this
welcome.
better? Can you hear me now? Okay. So just to reiterate again, we would basically pick up old carts when we're running routes, and somebody's going to be following up behind the service truck and dropping off the new container as we pick up the old one. That's how we would basically flip out all the old carts with brand new blue and black lid carts.
Thank you.
Yes. Any other questions?
I do have one other question. I have visiting with my brother who lives in Dickinson, Texas.
Mm-hmm.
There, I don't think it's Republic or it may be another company, but that particular company also provides, besides the trash dumpster, which is a large like this one, a smaller dumpster for recyclable material, and they pick that up, I think, once a week. And I'm thinking if maybe that could be incorporated perhaps sometime in the future or for consideration, and that would in a way produce more material to be recycled, because at the moment we collect recyclable material ourselves at home, and then we have to take those containers over to a certain location to dump it off. So I guess my suggestion is going to Mr. Milam's ears also for consideration, perhaps?
So for us.
Do you also do that?
Yes, sir, we are one of the leading providers in the nation for recycling and solid waste, so we can look at that. At the moment, recycling is a very big challenge because the commodity side of recycling has really taken a hit over the years. It's something that they call the China sword. So China is no longer taking our recyclable materials. So basically, recycling them has become a very big challenge. And because of that challenge, the cost for recycling has also increased. So it's caused quite a bit of challenges, not to say it cannot be done. I can definitely sit down with Mark and we can look at options if that's something that you all would like to do. I think what you all are currently doing with the process of the compartmentalized trailer, right, that's what you guys are doing, is a simple process and it works well. Anything beyond that, then we can look at it and address what kind of pricing would go with that if you want curbside recycling at the homes with either an 18-gallon bin or a bigger cart. But it's definitely a discussion, maybe a workshop to be had before we come to some kind of a decision. But we can definitely provide something to that effect should you all desire it.
I realize that something like that, that's something in addition to what's already being provided.
Correct.
The service.
Yes, sir.
So by all means, it has to be cost effective to both concerned.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Thank
sir.
you.
Thank you very much for your time today.
Thanks, sir.
I would like to motion to approve or deny the consideration and action to approve the contract extension with Republic Service for soiled waste removal services or seek proposals.
Mr. Mayor,
Go
I'll
ahead and
move-
make a motion that we approve the contract extension with Republic Services.
I second.
Sir, did you want to say something? I'm sorry.
I just wanted to make a motion. No problem.
No problem. So we have, a motion has been made to approve the consideration and action to approve the consent extension with Republic Services for solid waste removal services and seek proposal. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And all those opposed do the same. Motion carries to approve. Thank you very much for your time, sir.
Thank you.
Consideration and action to approve the proposed Texas Commission on Environmental Quality agreed order.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, as you can see in your information, we had several of our basins and aerators go down at once. When that happens, meeting the required testing requirements that of the water as it goes into the drainage ditch and on through what we call Parker Lake, and it stays there, and then eventually Brownsville Ship Channel didn't meet those in, as you can see in, I think March, April, May, or April, May, June. When all of our aerators, there's 6 of them, and it's basically what it does, it aerates and circulates the sewage as it comes into our system, and it goes around and around and around. When one of them fails, the aeration isn't good enough to meet those requirements. Unfortunately, we had several fail at a time, and so, if one's down, you can kind of make it, but when 2 or more go down, then we can't. And so that's what the agreed order is about. As you can see, I gave you that we immediately, in fact, we were always looking at some maintenance on them because we knew it was getting time, and so we already had some costs and ready to go when this happened. It is a long process. Many of those parts have to be manufactured and made. They're not available for purchase. You can't go down to a hardware store and get it. They're huge gears and gearboxes, and so through what we've done through December, as you can see, I wanted to give you a whole picture. Is we just fixed 5 of the 6, And I use language in there that they're new, but I use the wrong language. They're like refurbished, and so they're like new. And so we don't feel like for a long, long time we'll have problems again. But I'm open to any questions. Carlos is here in case he has some questions.
Any of the council members have any questions about these machines they fixed or any of the costs that are shown on this? Anybody want to ask any questions?
Just one comment, I noted that they still have my name on there. I don't have to sign these documents, it would be the new mayor, right?
Correct.
Thank
Okay, I want a motion to approve or deny the consideration action to approve the proposed Texas Commission on Environmental Quality agreed order.
I move to approve the proposed Texas Commission on Environmental Quality agreed order.
I'll second.
Okay, motion has been made again to approve the consideration and action to approve the proposed Texas Commission on Environmental Quality agreed order. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed do the same.
Aye.
Motion carries to approve the consideration and action to approve the proposed Texas Commission on Environmental Quality agreed order. Consideration and action to appoint or reappoint 3 individuals to the Community Development Corporation. And I'd like to start off by getting a list of those names of individuals.
I would like to recommend that the 3 individuals who have been serving be continued. They've been attending the meetings, they participate, and they want to continue as members of the board. So my recommendation is that those 3 be reappointed.
I like to do it individually if I can. I want to go ahead and start off by giving the first member, and then we vote for the first. We did the same thing for the second individual and the third, so that way we can all be on the same page. So I'm going to go ahead and consideration and action to approve Leonel Casanova, to reappoint him to the Community Development Corporation. All those in favor for Leonel Casanova, or those who approve to deny, please go ahead and state your decision on Leonel Casanova.
We need to make a motion on each one.
I just made the motion on Leonel Casanova to approve or deny his reappointment to the Community Development Corporation.
I'll second.
Okay, so motion has been approved to appoint Leonel Casanova. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those who oppose do as well.
Nay.
Motion carries to approve. Next one, consideration and action to appoint or reappoint Marcos Huerta to the Community Development Corporation. Anybody want to elaborate or questions or comments in regards to this person? If not, we can motion to approve or deny.
I move to appoint.
I second it.
Okay, motion has been made to approve Marcos Huerta to the Community Development Corporation. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those
Aye.
opposed do as well. Motion carries. Consideration and action to reappoint Daniel Alvarez to the Community Development Corporation. Anybody have any questions or comments in regards to Daniel Alvarez?
I move to appoint.
Okay, motion is made to approve Daniel Alvarez to the Community Development Corporation. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And all those who oppose do as well. Motion carries to approve Daniel Alvarez to the Community Development Corporation. Consideration and action to approve the City of Los Fresnos Thank a Teacher campaign in appreciation of local educators. I'd like to say a little something on this before Mark speaks. We recently did the City of Los Fresnos Police Department, and it was a success. We had a lot of good vibes in the city in regards to that. We just wanted to let the community know how much we support our law enforcement. Being that I have 2 children and I'm constantly getting text messages that students or teachers are coming out positive with COVID on a daily basis, I think it'd be appropriate sometime in May to put together either a week or a month where we can thank the teachers, get together with the school district and show our support for such a difficult year. I know teachers have been going through a new process of teaching, and there's a lot of obstacles with parents at home or grandparents. And I just think this would be a good time for us to recognize some of the teachers and the efforts and the administrators of what they're doing. Mark, is there something you would like to add in regards to this as well?
Just, I like the May date. As you noticed, I put in your packets, May 3rd through 7th is Teacher Appreciation Week, and so it kind of fits in with it. And what I would like is just, not tonight, but ideas. Let's throw ideas. We got a few months to throw ideas on how we would like to do that and things that we could do. One of the questions is, we've got 6 schools that are in our city limits, but there's another 7 that are Los Fresnos schools that are outside our city, and we've never been a boundary city, but that needs to be considered as well. We've always considered everybody Los Fresnos and not differentiated, but we do need to at least decide that as we go down the road in that appreciation. So,
Do we have any questions or comments from any of the council members in regards to the consideration and action to approve the City of Los Fresnos Thank a Teacher campaign?
I think it's an excellent idea, and I'd like to move that we approve.
If I may,
The City of Los Fresnos Thank Teacher campaign in appreciation of local education.
Go ahead.
push the button.
it's pressed. Whenever we talk about, school personnel, we don't necessarily focus on the city itself, because I think we are focusing on the whole school district, which we consider to be one unit, our unit. So there shouldn't be any problem.
I agree with that. We've always done it that way. They're all our children, all our teachers, and they all work hard.
Agreed. Another motion to approve or deny the action to approve the City of Los Fresnos Thank You campaign? I know.
Need a second.
Do we have a second?
I second.
Okay, we made a motion to approve the consideration and action to approve the City of Los Fresnos Thank a Teacher campaign in appreciation of local educators. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. And all those who oppose do the same.
Aye.
Motion carries to approve the consideration and action to approve the City of Los Fresnos Thank a Teacher campaign in appreciation of local educators. Acknowledgement of city managers' reports.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, you have all of the information. I won't go into what I've already written, except for the last item. I just think it's worth mentioning to you and to our citizens the ISO fire rating. That's a rating that's not done often, but when it is, it's a humongous task on the part of our fire department as well as our public works. And I have to add in the police department because they're part of the dispatching of our fire and EMS. But the rating is a 1 to 10, and we were years ago an 8, and a few years ago we got it down to 6. This rating that just came in the day that I prepared this is going to a 4. It looks like it won't be official until the end of the month, so I'll have a report more detailed to explain. But that's phenomenal for people's insurance and the rates because of that rating of 4. And if you see there, out of 2,848 fire departments only in Texas, only 637 or 22% are below us. And so that's really, really good. There's very few 1s, there's a few 2s, mostly 3 and up, because it's so hard to meet those requirements. So that's pretty phenomenal. When you look at the United States, out of 42,000, over 42,000 fire departments, only 12.7 have a better rating than us. So it's a kudos to, like I say, it has to do with our fire department, their capacities, their response times. It also has to do with our water and our water production rates and our flow rates. It has to do with dispatching and getting, when someone calls for a fire, getting it turned around and those firemen on the scene. So it takes a lot, and a rating of 4 is really, really good.
Any questions or comments by any of the council members in regards to the acknowledgement of the city manager's reports?
I move that we acknowledge and accept the city manager's city report.
I'll second.
Okay, motion has been made to acknowledge the city manager's report specified. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those who oppose
Aye.
do the same. Motion carries to acknowledge the city manager's reports. Acknowledgement of the department head reports. Mark, do we just continue on that one? Do I have to motion on that one?
Yeah, we still need a motion.
Okay, so I want to go ahead and motion to acknowledge the department head reports.
I move that we acknowledge the department head reports.
I'll second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those who oppose do the same. Motion carries to acknowledge the department head reports. Okay, so at this point, we are going to move to closed session. This is a deliberation pursuant to section 551074, Title 5 of the Texas Government Code, the Texas Open Meetings Act, regarding the evaluation of the city manager. And it's currently 7:18, and would be entering a closed session. And we would close the open session as well at 7:19 and reopen it as soon as we're done with the closed session. reopen our open session. Mark, do we have to make a decision on the deliberation, closed session? Okay. Just move on. Okay, so open session, deliberation, and possible action regarding the following, open session back up at 8:26. Open session, deliberation, and possible action regarding the following. Consideration and action as necessary resulting from deliberations and executive session pursuant to the Texas Government Code, Section 551074, regarding the evaluation of the city manager. Do we vote to approve or
I move,
to acknowledge?
we have to make a motion, don't we?
Motion to acknowledge?
Yes. I make a motion that we extend Mark for another year.
I second.
Yeah.
So we go ahead and acknowledge and consider action to continue with Mark, resulting from deliberations of executive session pursuant to the Texas Government Code, Section 551074, regarding the evaluation of city manager. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those in not favor signal as well. None. Motion carries to approve or to consideration and action necessary resulting from deliberation and executive session pursuant to the Texas Government Code, Section 551074, regarding the evaluation of city manager. I call this meeting adjourned. It's 8:27. Thank you.